So what if I told you there's a secret that lets programmers build really complex software without having to write every single line from scratch? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on that secret, the incredible power of code libraries. We all know that feeling, right? Just grinding away, doing the same tedious tasks again and again. It's just exhausting. But here's a fun fact. The apps on your phone, the websites you use every day, they're all built on a core idea of never reinventing the wheel. Exactly. A smart programmer doesn't ask, how do I build this from the ground up? No, they ask, what pieces already exist that I can just use? It's all about working smarter, not harder. Efficiency is everything, and that's where this whole concept really starts to shine. And this right here is the whole idea. Instead of, mixing the cement and laying every single brick yourself, you get to be the architect. You're finding and putting together these perfectly engineered components that are already built. It's a huge shift from just being a builder to really being a creator. Okay, so where do programmers find all these pre-built parts? Well, they go to a place with a pretty perfect name, a library. Just think about a real, actual public library for a second. You go there to get a story that someone else has already written and perfected. You don't try to write Moby Dick from scratch every time you want to read about a whale, right? Of course not. You just grab the book. You just find the book on the shelf, you open it up, and you use the knowledge that's inside. And believe it or not, programming libraries work on the exact same principle. And that's the core of it, right there. A programming library is literally a gold mine of pre-written code. It's this huge collection of powerful tools, all built and tested by experts, that you can just plug directly into your own projects.
Now, a screen full of code like this can look pretty intimidating. I get it. But here's the secret. The person who wrote this didn't type out all 1,400 lines from memory. Nope. They were more like a conductor, pulling in these powerful commands from different libraries to create the final product.
So let's look at the building blocks for a second. Libraries themselves are made of things called subroutines, and you can just think of these as individual recipes in a cookbook. Each one is a self-contained set of instructions for one very specific task. It does one job, and it does that one job perfectly, every single time. Okay, enough theory. Let's actually see this thing in action. We'll start with a really fun example, a library that lets us build stuff like games or simulations, really anything that needs a little bit of unpredictability. All right, take a look at this. The goal of this little program is super simple. Every time you run it, it just prints one of 4 different sentences. It's kind of like a digital magic 8-ball. And it's all powered by a library called, you guessed it, random. And what's amazing is how simple this whole process is. It almost always comes down to these 3 basic steps. First, you import the library. Second, you call a specific tool or function from it. And third, you use whatever result it gives you back. Let's look at that very first line, import random. This is literally you walking into the code library and telling the librarian, hey, I need the book on random numbers, please. You're just making all of its tools available for your program to use. Next up, look at this line, number equals random.randint, 1, 4. This is us opening up that random book to the page that's labeled randint, which just stands for random integer, and saying, hey, give me any whole number between 1 and 4. And finally, the rest of the code is just simple logic. If the number it got back was 1, it prints the blue message. If it was 2, it prints the yellow one, and so on. But here's the key. We didn't have to write any of the complex math to generate a truly random number. We just had to ask for one. So that's how we add a little bit of chance. But what about something more precise, like math? Let's check out another absolutely essential library that gives programmers some serious mathematical superpowers. Now, what if your program needs to do some serious number crunching? Working with circles, angles, complex equations. You don't have to be a math genius yourself, because, you guessed it, there's a library for that. This is just a perfect example of why libraries are so powerful. Do you know pi to 15 decimal places? I sure don't, but the math library does. And just by typing math.pi, like you see in the code there, we get this incredibly precise number, instantly, with absolutely 0 chance of making a typo. And the math library is full of handy little tools like this. Need to round a number? Well, instead of writing a bunch of complicated logic, you can just use math.ceil to always round up, like a ceiling, or math.floor to always round down. It's simple, it's clean, and it's error-free. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Libraries aren't just some neat trick. They are absolutely fundamental to how basically all modern software gets made. They are truly, truly a programmer's best friend. I mean, just think about the benefits. You save massive amounts of time. You slash the potential for errors because the library code has already been tested by thousands of other people. You get instant access to these powerful tools you could probably never build yourself. And maybe most importantly, you get to stand on the shoulders of giants, using the collective knowledge of the entire programming community. I absolutely love this analogy. You could spend months laying every single brick for your house by hand. Or you could have these perfect, strong, prefabricated walls delivered and assemble your house in a tiny fraction of the time. Now, both ways get you house, but one way is just infinitely smarter and faster. And that is the real shift in thinking here. When you have access to a world of pre-built solutions, the question changes. It's no longer, how can I build this? Instead, it becomes, what amazing thing can I create with this? It just unlocks a whole new level of creativity. So, I'll leave you with this question. What problem would you solve if you didn't have to start from zero?